Welcome to Dakota Growing. I'm Kelsey Deckert, your horticulture agent in Burleigh County, joined by my co-host Tom Kolb, NDSU Extension horticulturalist. How are we doing today?
Everything's good.
Surviving this
Except for it's kind of hot.
heat. Kind of hot? It's really hot.
Yeah, it's
unbearable hot.
Well, it's hard. It's hard. It's outdoor. When you're outdoors, it's you got to be smart about it.
You do.
And but people, I've asked people like, would you rather have 90 degrees or would you rather have 30 below? What's your choice?
Well, me,
How about 25 below? I'll make it easier for you.
I mean, I'd rather have the heat than the cold.
Oh, really?
Like that. But everybody else right now is saying like, oh, I really wish winter. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why would you talk like that? I mean, this is, yes, probably a little abnormal, the extent of this, but we are in middle summer. Like, embrace it. Our days are getting shorter.
Yeah. You see, I'm with you. For once, I agree with you.
Go to the AC if you're that hot, right?
Of course. And I would rather have the heat too, because the wind is just the winter winds and the blowing snow, and I hate driving in winter. It's no fun. But most people, when I ask that question, they'll say they'd rather have winter. They'd rather have a.
That's probably why they live here.
Yeah, exactly. They're in the perfect place if you like below zero temps and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
But there's nothing we can do about it. So just make sure your air conditioner's working right. So we're in the nice air conditioner studios of Dakota Media Access here today.
That's right.
And so, should we get the ball rolling here?
Let's get the ball
Talk
rolling.
about gardening. Okay. Well, since it's 100 degrees almost the last few days, and we got another several days of high 90s, we're going to talk about the heat and the heat on its impact on our gardens.
Yeah.
And some of that we're seeing now, and some of it we're going to see later. Okay. One thing we're seeing now is with peppers. And one thing about pepper plants is they often don't develop a very full leafy bush before they start setting fruit. Like especially I can get them from the garden center late, they may be a little bit leggy, and but they set fruit quickly. Like, okay, when I go to the bargain basement to buy my plants, the first thing I do, I pay for them after that. And then what I do is I pick off all the fruits and all the flowers, because I don't want that young plant to be setting fruits.
Right.
Because it's going to devote all its energy to the fruits, and it won't develop into a lush plant that will be more productive in the long run. So with peppers, though, I can see a lot of leggy plants that just they can't shield the fruits from the scorching sun, and you get this sun scald. It's like a papery texture that develops. Here I was at the Fairgrounds Community Garden last night. How about that? And here's some peppers. It's just getting that brown scorch it was on the western, getting that western sun in the afternoon, and it just beat down upon them, and they scorched it. Now it's still edible, but it's scorched. Here's another one that got scorched.
Did you go put some umbrellas out, pound them in the sand?
Actually, I have to confess I was trespassing on other people's gardens, so but I did not touch or put up an umbrella. But there's scorch out there, and so that's just something to be aware of. And it can attack tomatoes. I see it on raspberries. You see like a white tissue color, and that means scorching. And it will develop into more like a dry, very papery like later on. So you should just pick these off and start again.
There you go.
Okay. Now listen, there's something also going on with our tomatoes. Our tomatoes are blooming now, but they don't like the heat either. When it gets over 85, the flowers, they often just wither. They just can't stand the heat. So when temperatures exceed 85 during the day on a consistent basis, like they have for a week, or if it's in the 70s at night for a week, the flowers may just wither up and the pollen will not be good. And so we could have a gap in our production due to this extreme heat spell.
That would make sense.
Be on the lookout for that. The other thing is with our cucumbers. And you see a picture of the there's female and male flowers. The female flowers have a little fruit attached to it. The male flowers don't. Men do not have children. That's just it. Male cute flowers do not have cutes. That's just the way life is. And so what the plant does, though, the plant goes, man, I don't know if I should have so many female flowers now because I'm under a lot of stress here. There's no air conditioning going on outside. I'm like basking in 100 degrees. It's brutal out here. So they will produce fewer female flowers. And so that means a smaller yield. So you may notice that if you go out and look at your cucumbers or pumpkins, they'll have fewer female flowers now because of this heat.
And our female flowers always show up after the male flowers, too.
Yeah, usually.
About a week-ish.
Yeah. Every year, everything's a little bit different, but in general, there's a lot more men out there than women. So that when it comes to flowers, that's just the way life makes it. Men are dime a dozen, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it's about. I don't question the good creator.
No, you just got to live with it,
I just got to live with it. I'm just a dime a dozen. Sorry, that's who I am. Not good enough to be. Okay, we're not going there. How about, here's the thing about this bee. Bees, they don't like the heat either.
No.
So they like to sit in the shade and, take a drink of water every now and then or whatever they're drinking. Maybe a little nectar. But bees are less active during the heat too. And the pollen is less viable under this intense heat. So we're going to have less successful pollination and fertilization. And for cucumbers, this can lead to misshaped fruits because of this heat. These little crooked fruits and pointed fruits. That's because the fruit wasn't pollinated and fertilized perfectly. Usually it takes several bee visits per flower per day to make a perfect fruit. And if you don't get too much bee activity and the pollen isn't good, you're going to get misshaped fruits. Still edible, but not very marketable, I remember, in the good old days when I sold cucumbers. Those are the ones you have to give away pretty much. And then also here's like a squash or a pumpkin that just didn't make it. It just never got pollinated, so it's just rotting. So be on the lookout. There's going to be some pollination issues going on. The other thing is that we were talking before about, where's the heat? My crop, man, it's just not taking off.
Right.
So everybody's saying, hey, let's get some heat. Well, now we got the heat, okay? And the problem is it's too hot. So even like tomatoes, when the temps exceed 85 on a consistent basis during the day, then or you have a blip of over 100, that can also cause they'll just slow down in maturing and actually slow down in reddening. So this can even delay the maturity of our crop because of this heat spell. Not pick it up. We want temps in the 70s and low 80s to really accelerate our growth and ripening. But when it gets extreme, the plant just shuts down. So you got to be on the lookout for that. Okay. So let's look at the big picture. Here's our drought situation, and any color on this map is not a good color. That means there's at least a little drought. This is 1 week old, July 7th. Today's July 15th, and the new drought map will be coming out tomorrow. So we'll find out.
With a little more color.
Yeah, exactly. So like here in Bismarck, Mandan, we're right on the edge of an abnormally dry condition. But I expect tomorrow's weekly map is going to show that we're definitely under dry conditions here. Right. And that's no good. Water is the most limiting factor in our garden productivity. But so I think we've got to talk about a minute just about how to water. We've done this before, but it's such an important topic. And I've shown this to you, Kelsey, before about these plants, these sunflower plants, or flower plants, and this guy's doing an overhead irrigation. That is wrong. Okay, look at all that water that's just flying up in the air, and it's going to evaporate even before it lands. You're going to lose 25% of that water just from evaporation. And our water bills in Bismarck, they're not a pretty sight, okay? And so you're wasting water here that's expensive. And then you're spraying the leaves. plants don't drink through their leaves. Let me just teach you a botany lesson. Plants have roots. Roots suck up the water, okay? Okay, so put the water down at the roots. But again, like I watch gardeners, like at the fairgrounds, and almost everybody waters overhead, just like this. And they like sprinkling their plants. You know, it cleans off the leaves, everything sparkles. But actually, the plants are very unhappy because they're saying, you're getting me wet, and now I'm going to get disease. Thanks for nothing. Or they say, thanks for the drink, but still, I'm going to get disease. So can we do it a little bit better next time? So put the water down by the roots. It's important. So here's some basic principles how to water your garden. Avoid overhead irrigation, and also, if possible, irrigate in the morning, okay? Because if you irrigate in the morning, the plants are active then, and they'll start sucking up the water. And then we have the whole day for the leaves to get dry before the nighttime. So try to water in the morning if you can, once the sun's up. When you water, you shall water deeply, not frequently. The roots grow where the water goes. Okay, if you water deep, the roots grow deep. If you're out there every night giving it a little bit of shallow watering, you're going to have a shallow root system. So water deeply, like twice a week, better than 5 times a week shallowly. And then mulch can also help us to conserve moisture. So think about adding a mulch to your garden, whether it's black plastic or maybe some straw. But think about mulching. Okay, I think this is the hottest disease right now. Hottest, how about, no pun intended, how about that? But early blight it's just taking off right now. And it's on our tomatoes and potatoes. That's where I'm seeing it. And I see it out at the fairgrounds garden now, just taking off. And to identify early blight, if you see what I got circled there, it's these brown lesions, like chocolate brown or deeper brown chocolate, and you see the rings. That's an indication that it's a fungal disease when you see the rings in that brown lesion. And often there's some yellow tissue, as they show with the arrow, nearby. That's textbook early blight. Here's another picture of it right here. And you see those kind of big lesions.
Yep.
But you look for those rings. That really says, okay, that's early blight. And now it's just taking off. And I see this on plant stems too. Okay, and you can imagine those concentric rings on them. Okay, don't confuse this with septoria leaf blight. Septoria is, I'd say, the second most common disease, and that's going to be taking off soon. But septoria has little brown spots, and usually with a tan center. So these are much like 1/8 of an inch across. It's small spots. They start at about tan centers. That's septoria, a different disease, but they're somewhat similar. So let's talk about how to control these two foliar diseases. First, again, avoid overhead irrigation. That's a sin. Don't do that. And don't splash the soil when you water, because that's where the diseases come from. They come from the soil. Get your plants trellised. Get them off the ground. Caging, staking, string weaving, whatever you do, get your tomatoes off the ground. And then some of the finest gardeners I know actually trim off those lower branches on the tomato plant. Like the bottom 8 inches of the stem have no branches. Any branch that touches the soil is trimmed off, because that's how the plants get the disease. It's touching the soil. And we do have preventative fungicides available. Like every garden center has chlorophyll, and if you're organic, copper can do the job. But these are preventatives. They won't cure the problem. Okay. So again, mulching can help you. Like if you use black plastic mulching, this can accelerate growth, okay, because it generates a little heat, but also it serves as a barrier between the disease-infested soil and our plant leaves. Okay, so think about mulching next year. So let's talk about the long-term solutions for these diseases. Because like when I talk to the gardeners, out there at the fairgrounds, they always talk about, man, I get these diseases every year. Because I say, right, wow, it looks pretty good. Everything's so clean. Say, just wait, all my tomatoes are going to get these diseases. And that's those are the kind of problems we talked about as far as like the water overhead.
Right.
And they don't usually use mulching. So think about using mulching if you can. Clean up your debris at the end of the year. Rotate your crops. In other words, don't plant your tomatoes and potatoes in the same spot every year. Move it around. So like move the cucumbers over there to the tomatoes next year, to the tomato spot next year, because that way you won't build up those tomato diseases in that soil. And then also take advantage of disease-resistant varieties. I just want to spend a minute here on this. There is an amazing revolution going on in tomato varieties over the last 10 years. Because what happened about 12 years ago, the scientists cracked the genetic code. They deciphered the genetic code of the tomato plant. So they know which genes are on what chromosomes. So this allows them, once they know, okay, we want to have resistance to early blight. Okay, we got to find where are the genes for that resistance. Okay, it's right here on chromosome number 6. Then they can use that in their breeding techniques to move those genes into new varieties. And that's what's happening. And to me, this is really shown beautifully with this variety called Bada Bing. It's a brand new variety out this year. It's the first major variety that resists early blight, late blight, and septoria leaf spot. Wow, septoria even. That's a revolutionary development. And so Bada Bing was not widely available this year. It's going to be more available next year. But the big news is we now have resistance to all 3 of these major diseases. So look for these varieties. I see more and more available every year when I look through seed catalogs. And be cautious around using heirlooms, because heirlooms will not have this disease resistance. Okay, what do you think about that, Kelsey?
That looks like a picture-perfect tomato.
Yeah, it's because it is a picture. That's one reason. I don't know how good it is, but it resists diseases.
I think one of the questions I always get then too is if they have it, should we be consuming the fruit?
The blight?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's not on the fruit yet, but it's on the leaves, should they be consuming those tomatoes?
Okay. My answer is absolutely. What are you waiting for? What are you afraid of? Now,
I don't eat those, so it doesn't bother me.
You don't care. You
I don't care.
Yeah, why didn't you say his Bada Bing is picture perfect?
It looks very nice in the photo.
Yeah, but you won't touch it. You won't eat it. You hate tomatoes.
Maybe make it ketchup or salsa. Then I will.
Yeah, okay, we eat ketchup, but not tomatoes. Okay, listen. If the fungus disease is on a fruit, okay, I'm not going to eat that thing.
No, I wouldn't
if I'm on a
either.
Survivor show or something, I might eat it, just if I'm going to die of starvation.
Right.
But if it's on the leaves alone, I'm going to wash the fruit after I harvest it. I'm going to be fine. But if it's mushy or if it's showing any symptoms, of course I'm not going to
get rid of it, right?
Yeah, but like these are fungi, not bacteria. If I see anything infested on a tomato fruit, I'm not touching that. And herbicide injury, that's another.
Right.
That's the question I always get. Like, what about my tomato vine's got herbicide injury? Can I eat those fruits, or am I gonna,
get sick?
Develop another nose and 3 eyes and go crazy? No, but I would say I can't tell you it's safe. I just can't, because
you don't know those levels of toxicity.
I don't know the levels, and it's not evaluated for that. Even if you did do a laboratory analysis, you say, okay, it's 0.02 milligrams per kilogram, whatever. There's no testing that says, okay, it's safe now.
Right.
So I can't say it's safe. So it's up to you how you want to handle your life. For you, it's not a problem because you won't eat the tomato anyhow.
Not even growing it. So.
But yeah, exactly. But I would say for me, personally, I would not eat a tomato where herbicide injury was there.
Yeah.
I just went to, life's too short. I don't want to do that. There's,
Go to the grocery store, right? That's
Yeah,
your
exactly.
favorite. Famous lines. Go to the grocery store and buy
Yeah,
it.
that's right. Or eat some zucchini instead. There's always lots of zucchini around. Okay, last thing to talk about with this 100-degree heat is, hey, believe it or not, the days are getting shorter.
I do believe it.
Do you? You're
Yeah.
sensitive. See, I can fool you over anything. I know it's true. So fall vegetables are here, and so
Time to start sowing them?
so I start thinking. I would say, why don't you just wait until 100 degrees is over first?
Yeah,
though.
I would too.
Listen, some of these vegetables thrive in the fall. The best radishes you ever ate are the ones you've grown in the fall. You sow the seeds in the spring, everybody does, and then they bulb up when it gets hot. And so the radishes taste hot and bitter. Instead, you do it in the fall. Like in the end of August, you sow the seed and then they bulb up when it's cool. And so the bulbs or the roots, they're cool and mild. Delicious. The best radishes grown in fall. The best turnips are grown in fall. The best spinach is grown in fall. And you can even try kohlrabi. That's easy to grow in fall. That's like a gourmet vegetable that's really beautiful, like a mild cabbage flavor. Even sunflowers. I sowed some sunflowers on Sunday. And so there's some sunflowers that will bloom in less than 60 days, like 55, 53 days. And these are like the pro-cut varieties. These are single stem types. They produce a bloom rapidly, and then you harvest it. And you have a beautiful bouquet that you can share with your spouse, or, you can bride the teacher with a bouquet of flowers, whatever works for you. Okay, so what date do you sow the seeds? You gotta know your frost date. Okay, that's the first thing. And here's Dave's Garden. They have a frost indicator. And for Bismarck, you just do go to the table. It's about September 25th is when we usually get our first frost. Or there's this website from the Midwestern Regional Climate Center, MRCC. And they have a great extensive, for every county, they'll tell you your frost dates. So now I know for Bismarck, it's about September 25th. So then I just go to my Johnny Seed catalog and I just type in, they have a planting calculator to tell you what date to sow your seed.
How convenient's that?
All right, and you just said, okay, my frost date is September 25th, and I say, okay, here's the dates that you recommend you sow the seeds. So like here's some of the basic ones, like beets. I should have done that yesterday, July 14th. But soon Swiss chard and turnips, and then kohlrabi towards the end of the month. In first week of August, we can plant our spinach, and then last week of August, we can plant our radishes. So take advantage of the fall vegetable situation. It's going to be, it can just add so much flavor at the end of the year and just end the season on a bang. That's what I got today.
I think that's great.
Yeah, can't grow tomatoes. Don't sow tomato seeds. Okay, Kelsey, don't do that. What's your favorite fall vegetable among those? Which would you eat? Kohlrabi?
Oh, I would eat the spinach.
Eat the spinach.
Yeah, especially since mine got hailed out this year.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I know. So your evaluation form isn't going to look that great for the spinach this year.
Do you like smooth or crinkly?
It don't matter.
Don't matter.
I like spinach.
You just like eat the greens.
Yeah.
I like Asian vegetables. There's like a mizuna.
Okay.
It's like a very mild mustard green, and
good in
there's
salads,
some
I
red
bet.
ones. Yeah, and just stir fries or tat soy. That's kind of fun too. Or pak choy. You see pak choy at the store.
Mm-hmm.
That's you can grow pak choy in 50 days, and it will tolerate some light frost too. And again, that frost will just sweeten it up a little bit. So I'm definitely going to have a fall vegetable garden. So you can look forward to reports on that through the garden season.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, there you go.
Well, you were up there yesterday seeing any insects?
The only pest I saw was myself.
Okay. Okay. I actually had, just before the show, a gal came in and said that her cabbage is already getting hit.
Oh,
by cabbage
worms?
Yeah. So,
What are you going to do about it?
well, it's already damaged at this point. She said they were pretty much ate up.
So what did she feel about it?
She didn't really feel anything. She just wanted to know what's causing it and
That's
what's
wrong.
doing for next year, I
No.
guess. What do you think? You got revenge?
Exactly. When I see cabbage worms on my plants,
You're going to go kill them.
I do not feel sad.
You feel vengeance.
I don't feel mad. I get even. Don't get sad. Don't get mad. Get even and kill them. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hit them depends how I feel.
Well, you like to go out the big guns. I'm not even talking about the others today.
I thought.
No, literally, she came in right before I was coming over.
Here's the
so.
deal. Okay, how do you feel about killing bugs? Like I'll tell you. Okay, sorry for going off track here. You ever see that? Let me talk about. You ever see that movie Braveheart with Mel Gibson?
I've never seen it, but I've seen clips.
You never seen it?
I've never seen Braveheart.
Oh, it's a classic.
No, I know it is. People say that. It's just never been on the to-watch list.
Mel Gibson got married in secret.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the kingdom, they had a law that the king could have pleasure with the wife the first night. And so Mel had a secret wife. But what had happened was the soldiers found out about that and they killed his wife. And so Mel was mad, right?
Very mad.
Then he started the war. And he went up to the York Castle and they destroyed the York Castle, English York Castle. And so he dragged the king or the prince, whatever, of York Castle, and he put him right to a post, like a wooden post, like we're gonna burn you or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's gonna just tie him up and just punch him or whip him, whatever. But what did he do? He just took out a knife and slit his throat. Just like that.
Instant.
You're dead.
Instantaneously.
Yeah, he just walked him right to the post. That's it. So some people are like that. They want instant killing and revenge.
That's right.
So if I'm like that with that lady, I would say I would get some of that, some like 7, Garden Tech 7.
Yeah.
Or 8 is from Bonite. And
you're just going to take them out.
Spray them out. It kills on contact. They'll just drop, have a few spasms, and die. Beautiful. But like if I was Mel Gibson in that movie, I wouldn't have killed the guy right away.
You want him to suffer.
I would torture that person.
Oh.
I would put him like I'd fill a ditch full of snakes or something, tie him up to a chain, and make him I would just torture the guy for a couple weeks. That's what I'd do.
Wow.
Really am tortured.
Okay.
Yeah. They gotta learn their lesson.
That's right.
And so that's what the natural chemicals are for.
Yeah.
Like
the slow
ones, like BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, like dipelthursite. They get a rot gut. They die after 2 days. Or spinosad is a great chemical. It attacks their nerve system, and they have like 2 days of uncontrollable spasms before they die. So think about those botanicals. If you like to torture bugs, they're safe for people, and most of them will torture bugs for a couple days before they die. There you go. Sorry for that tangent.
No, that's all good. I'm going to talk about summer insects, but I'm going to go in the route of what...
Good ones?
No.
Okay.
No, we're negative, remember? We don't talk about...
That's a negative show.
Yes, yes. All right, so I think we have in the past talked about spittle bugs.
Yeah, they're cool.
They are cool. I've had a few of these come through this year, and it's not for me, I guess it's not a yearly thing that I get questions on or see photos of every year, but this was sent in probably mid-June, I would say, and then a couple weeks later I got a couple more. So really when people call in, it's kind of harder to see in the photo, but they describe like as if somebody spit on their plant, right? So you see that, and really what that is it's kind of a foam that's produced by the spittle nymph, and it protects them from enemies and drying out. Yeah. And so if you'd ever see an adult version of one of these, they're kind of like a leaf hopper. They could be tan, green, or brown. And what people need to know is they do overwinter as like a egg on our plant stems, and then they start to hatch in midsummer and feed for the next month or two. So then that's when we start to see them, is end of July, early June. But really, that foam, it's harmless. It's a protection for them. Ignore it. Jet stream it if you need to.
Jet stream of water?
Yeah.
Are you sure that's going to kill it?
It's not going to kill it. The thing is, it might knock them out. But
Make
again,
it a strong jet stream of water. So it's like not just like, here's a shower.
It's like a typhoon,
like
huh?
Tsunami.
There you go.
And that's the end of it.
Or if they dry out.
Tsunami time.
Then they'll die, right?
You gotta punish those guys. They're on your territory.
They're just a couple.
They're gonna die.
You sound like you're really... I don't know what happened at the gardens yesterday, but I am a little concerned.
Well, I don't have any bugs in my garden. You know why? They fear me.
They fear you. You come in and have a talk.
They know. They know. They come across the border. They are gonna die.
Okay. How about this? I feel like you've probably had calls this year, or maybe from agents even. Connie Maple Scale. Yeah, this seems to be a little bit prevalent here in the Bismarck-Mandan area, I guess. Of course, again, people will describe them as like little cotton balls or marshmallows on their tree that they don't ever notice. And really, what that marshmallow is actually just an egg sac that's protruding out of the female. So these ones are going to affect our maples, lindens, other hardwoods. Here's another picture showing it a little bit larger, but they're going to survive winter as immature females that are literally flat on the twigs, so they go unnoticed. They start to grow in May, and then we start to see those egg sacs show in June. And so what happens is the crawlers will hatch kind of late June, early July, and they go to the underside of the leaves to feed. A lot of times, though, these are pretty much controlled by some of our natural enemies, but I don't think you want to hear that today. You're really into taking care of business.
Well, if I see
the crawlers. They're not easy.
Well, what I see is I see the branch that doesn't have any leaves on it because it's been weakened, and also it's all sticky.
Yeah.
From that
honeydew,
poop,
right?
Their excrement, and so when you see that stickiness, then I go, okay, yeah, it's time to take action. It's time to kill those guys.
So are you going to try to find them in a crawler stage, or are you going to be preventive and say, you know what, I'm going to hit them with a systemic spring or fall?
I'm going to see, one thing about battle is you have to know when they're most vulnerable.
Right.
That's when you're going to be more success. So that's when they're a crawler stage.
Right.
And so, like you say, like in late June, I know they're vulnerable, they don't have any protection, so then I'm going to hit them with my nuclear bomb, and then they're going to die.
Going to use that carbaryl again.
Carbaryl's hard to find. I would use like that. That's the old-fashioned 7.
That
would
like
work
the
though.
Horticultural oils or soaps, smother them.
No, well, that's kind of interesting. I'd hit them with the Garden Tech 7, the new 7, and
no prisoners. Take no prisoners.
Of course, what am I going to do? Do take prisoners for insects?
No.
Like when you see.
No, you're squish.
When you see those lady beetles in your house in March.
Yeah.
What do? You say, okay, you go into prison. Here's my little corner. I'm gonna.
Yeah, you're gonna go in the box for today.
Yeah, you're not gonna. No, you're gonna die.
That's right.
That's right. No prisoners. Unconditional surrender.
Yeah. The other one that I've seen pop up, and again, we've talked about this, is the bronze birch borer. Don't confuse it with the emerald ash borer.
Yeah, that's true.
Affects our birch trees. This isn't the picture I received earlier this year. I couldn't get it to send over to me, but this is a picture from a couple years ago that I went and looked at this particular birch tree, and so just like the symptoms here, like this one is definitely a goner, but you see that wilting, that dieback at the top of the tree. As it continues to decline, you see that dieback extend down to your major branches, and then you have these D-shaped exit holes that are about 1/8 of an inch. So right here are some really good pictures of what you can see on the bark. If you were to ever see the beetle, they're pretty big. They're 1/4 to 1/2 inch in size, bronze color, and they're going to hit most of our birch species. And native species have evolved and actually have become a lot more resistant when they are kept healthy. So what do we need to know about these guys here? They live through the winter as larvae under the bark, pupate in the spring. Those adults come out in June and July. Seems like June and July is kind of the target, right, for most of these.
It's time to have a honeymoon.
Have a honeymoon.
They come out as adults.
That's right. They're going to go feed, going to lay eggs. You know, in the branches and everything, those eggs will hatch, and then they're going to chew through that bark to the phloem layer. So, again, you peel this back, you're going to see those, like, insect galleries. And so...
Right.
The tough thing with this is pesticides are going to only be effective in those initial stages. So if you're pushing that 40 to 50%, your tree's done. Just chop it up. It's done.
Yeah, that's the problem because
you notice it when it's too late most of the time.
Well, I mean, if a half of my tree was dying, I would notice that, even though I don't live for trees. But I mean, like a lot of these birch trees are in the front yard too, so you know you can't help but see them.
Right.
But the reason why you see the top die first, and that's because, like you said, they destroy the phloem, or the way the circulation, the veins in the tree. So the borers have destroyed that, and so the top of the tree is not getting any more water anymore. So it's going to die back. That's why the top of the tree gets impacted first. And the reason why you see, like, if it's really damaged, that means all the veins have been damaged in the tree. So if I used a fungicide drench or insecticide drench,
it can't get through.
It can't get through because the veins are all shot.
Yeah.
And so that's why you got to get it early. And insecticide drench is the standard treatment for homeowners. But is there anything more you want to say about it?
No, you
Okay,
can.
I'll tell you. Here's the thing about birch trees. Birch trees should not be grown when in hot, dry conditions. They should only be found in moist, cool conditions, like on the north side or the east side of your house. And they should be mulched. We got to keep the soil cool for that plant, because birch, you know, you don't drive out to the countryside and see a birch tree just all by itself in the middle of a pasture. No, birch trees are always in clumps together as they shade each other. So never plant a birch tree when it's hot, under hot, dry conditions, because a birch tree will suffer. And then when it suffers, it's going to
get attacked, right?
It gives off signals. I'm hurting. I'm
weak.
The borers are just hanging around. Oh, wow, I think I hear a birch that's crying. I'm going to go get it. See, the borers, if there's no crying, the borer won't go there.
That's right.
So you got a tree under stress, then the borers come in. So don't allow the stress.
That's
you know,
right.
you have to have the right location for your birch tree. That's the key thing, and keep it cool and moist.
There you go. Keep it happy.
You got it.
Okay, I'm going to end on a positive note. I want to talk about what's thriving in the garden. So what was thriving at your gardens last night that you were up there at? We've seen some peppers with a little sun scald, but...
My garden's not much. But...
Are you joking?
But among other gardeners, okay, listen, I got to tell you.
Weeds? Are the weeds thriving?
No. 90% of the plots are beautiful up there. And it's impressive.
Yeah.
You go there, man, these gardeners, they are doing an amazing job. The coolest thing I saw was a kohlrabi the size of a basketball. That was the coolest thing.
They had a county contest?
I don't know what they're doing, but they got a gigantic kohlrabi. They can feed a whole army with that thing. And that was the most impressive thing. But the potatoes look so good this year, I think.
Yeah.
It really stands out up there. And tomato vines are looking healthy. They're still healthy. The diseases really are just starting. The potatoes to me looked really. That's the thing that just wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. Well, here's what's thriving at my place. So, of course, like I told you, I always have petunias, and the top, you can probably guess, my moss roses, and the wing pod purslane that I did this year as well. So, I came back from a weekend of celebrating my brother-in-law getting married, and I did have weeds that were thriving as well, but
Really?
cleaned it out, and as you can see, those petunias are spreading really nice. They are loving it. They
Those
look
purple
great.
ones?
Yep, here's a close-up. Nice, vibrant color, right?
Yeah, the wave petunias are amazing. That's a trend. Not to brag, but I've got about 20 varieties of petunias in my garden. So you gotta walk up there and look at it someday.
I will have
I'll give
to.
you a tour someday.
I only have let me see.
Yeah, that's
3,
a beautiful. That purple
4.
wave is spectacular. You're
I
doing a
got
great
7.
job.
I got 7 because I always fill that tiered bed with it.
Yeah, that looks great.
You know, if we look back though, one thing that I have to say, people need to be aware of: lawns are starting to not thrive this time of year.
It's terrible.
You know, so
It's natural.
It's natural, but I just want to comment on that. Don't fear the brownness going on in your yard.
They're just going to bed. They're sleeping.
They're resting.
They're shutting down.
Yes.
Preparing. They know it's not a hospitable condition.
It's not.
But also, cut your lawn tall.
That's right.
Okay, gotta have it tall in the summer, the tallest you can.
That's right.
Tall turf gives you deep roots.
I think my mower goes up to 8 inches, but I cut at 4.
Yeah, well, 4 inches.
That's right, right?
That is the way to go, especially in the summer.
Right.
What else is thriving?
Look at that. I got some variety trials popping up.
What the heck's that?
One of your cactuses is zinnias.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got a couple of those. You can see the...
Bergamot.
No.
I thought that was monarda or something.
No. I got a couple of those coming up. I even got, I think one's kind of greenish. I think it was like a greenish, I don't know.
From me?
From you, I think. I think it was just a variety mix. I don't remember.
Maybe I just gave that to you.
You might have.
No, maybe that's not one of the orange ones, the vintage orange.
It could be.
They have a green tinge to them.
Yeah, it's very young yet started,
Yeah,
so I'm
that's
excited
it.
to see.
Oh, that's going to be really beautiful.
How about my ornamental
Kale?
kale? So I was really excited about this.
You like that.
I do like this because a few years ago I tried to start seed on my own. Didn't go so well. But this, I bought these plants and they were, oh my gosh, probably, I don't even know what to compare them to. They were way smaller than this and they are just taking off. And so I'm surprised that we're not bolting yet at this point either. But I'm excited that hopefully with cooler temperatures on the rise too, they get a little more vibrant in that color.
Definitely.
That's when they really show off their color.
You can eat them too.
Here's what my garden looks like. I told you before the show I did get hail. So my peppers are a little bit set back, but pumpkins are already started. And if it wouldn't have been so hot last night, I would have been harvesting peas, but I chose to get the lawn mowed. So things are going well despite the hail damage. And it's kind of interesting because when we came back and after a trip in Medora, my husband goes, "That's toast." I said, "Nah, just wait. She'll come back." So I only had to pull the spinach out. That was way too shattered.
Well, tonight you learned about fall vegetables. So
I know. I could go re-sow.
You can go sow.
That's right.
What are you going to sow? Spinach?
Realistically, probably not. No, but I could. I could.
You're too busy mowing your dead lawn.
Oh, my dead lawn. It's not dead. It did need to be mowed, though.
Yeah, I should pick those peas.
I gotta pick the peas.
Are they snap peas?
They're yours. This is all your variety stuff I got going on.
Are these shell them or?
No, these are the sugar snaps.
Sugar snaps? Oh, you're gonna love them.
I know. That's what the kids are having for supper tonight.
There you go.
Supper.
Here.
That's all I got for today. Want to talk about some of the top insects and I guess show off what is thriving in the heat. Maybe not us, but...
Yeah, I would say as far as insects, I'd be on the lookout for Colorado potato beetle. That's about... It can be... look for the orange eggs and And the beetles themselves on potato and eggplant, I'd be on the lookout for that now. The cabbage worms, as soon as you see those white moths dancing on top of your plants, that means you got to get your weapons ready and blast them. I think those are the
top contenders, huh?
Yeah, there's it's been a good year. We just got to get through this warm spell, and then
you'll be enjoying it again.
And then I hope the rains come back, and I think it's going to be good.
I'd agree.
I'm looking forward to fall. And you complained about the Vikings, but the Vikings going to win the Super Bowl this year. Did you know that?
I'm not holding my breath. I'm not a Vikings fan, though. So.
I'm older than the Vikings, and we haven't won it yet, but we're going to do it before I die. That's the goal.
That's the goal, huh?
And,
would you buy a Super Bowl ticket?
Would I buy one?
Yeah, with how expensive they are? Would you just be like,
don't you know anything about
I know, but maybe you'd be like, this is a bucket list ticket that's worth it.
I would never buy a Super Bowl ticket.
So you gotta try to win.
I don't got money to burn.
You want to win that free ticket somehow.
Well, I would go to the game, but I've never gone. Actually, I've never gone to. I've never paid really for a ticket. Sport, yeah. My dad was a dermatologist, and he helped out Minnesota Twins, and he helped out the Vikings and the basketball teams when they had basketball back then, and the ABA, like the Minnesota Muskies. And the players would give my dad free tickets, and then my dad would take me and my brothers and sisters. Wind. So sometimes we got free tickets, but I'm too cheap for that stuff.
Yeah.
I got to save my money for seeds for my garden.
That's right.
Got to get your priorities in order.
That's right.
Luckily, I don't have any horses I have to feed like you.
That's true.
That's okay, but I don't get the rewards of horses. So.
Any less burning words of wisdom?
I got nothing more to say.
I don't either.
Stay cool. Stay cool.
Stay cool, and we hope that you join us our next episode. We're gonna go on a garden tour. How about that?
Okay. I know it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be awesome. So
I look forward to it.
Be prepared for our garden tour of the year. So with that, we just want to say thank you for joining us and hope to see you on our future episodes.
Dakota Growing is a gardening show brought to you by Dakota Media Access and NDSU Extension. We discuss a variety of timely topics pertaining to your landscape, along with giving you tips and advice for your lawn, garden, and trees. If you have questions, call 701-221-6865 or email ndsu.burley.extension@ndsu.com. Dakota Growing airs on Radio Access 102.5 FM, Community Access Channel 12 or 612 HD, or online at freetv.org.